Liberal MPs spent Wednesday ironing out what the contest to replace Prime Minister Justin Trudeau should look like.
For me, right now, the question I'm asking myself is, in the context of Canada-US, is where can I have the biggest impact? And
Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly there and Energy Minister Jonathan Wilkinson say they're considering running for leadership. This comes as Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc confirms he is not going to run. So for more this morning, I'm joined by Laura D'Angelo, Vice President of National Strategy and Public Affairs with Enterprise Canada. She was previously a staffer in Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's office. Great to have you here this morning. Welcome.
Thanks for having me, Anne-Marie.
As a reminder to everybody, the last Liberal leadership race was in 2013. The one that was in 2013, I should say, lasted 5 months. This year's contest hasn't even started yet. Parliament sits in about 10 weeks from now. Can you walk us through how is this going to work? What are the markers and the timelines needed in this race?
Yeah, the timelines are really important. So you're right that it's about 10 weeks. Parliament is going to resume in 74 days, and the government is likely going to fall with a non-confidence vote in 76 days. So we're looking at an election realistically at the beginning of May, likely May 5th or May 12th, because elections are always on Mondays in Canada. So the timelines are very tight.
Okay, well, keeping that in mind then, leadership races are, among other things, seen as an opportunity for a candidate to introduce themselves to a national audience. Can you walk us through what are the boxes that a candidate needs to tick off to be successful? And given the fact that we have this, you know, we call it a leadership race, but it's kind of like a sprint, who's going to benefit most from a shorter campaign?
That's a really great question. The easy answer is who's going to benefit is anyone who has name recognition. So when you look at that list that you just put up, someone like a Minister Chrystia Freeland is going to benefit greatly from a shorter race because Canadians are pretty familiar with who she is already. But the biggest things that candidates have to do when we talk about a leadership race is make sure they're known to Liberal Party membership, because those are the people who are voting here. And so that means name recognition, their vision for the country and their vision for the party. When you think back to 2013, when Justin Trudeau ran for leadership, he had a very clear vision for what he wanted for Canada and what he wanted for the Liberal Party. All of these candidates are going to have to put forward that vision and not just the reasons why they want to be Prime Minister.
And really, you've got a shortened timeline and this double-barreled mission of, you know, leading the country and leading the party. The Liberal Party Constitution allows anyone who, quote, ordinarily resides in Canada to vote in a leadership race. And some Liberal MPs are raising concerns after last summer's National Security and Intelligence Committee of Parliamentarians found that leadership races are vulnerable to foreign interference. This is documented and known. So what are the Liberals doing to mitigate those risks in this short run?
It's a great question, and the real answer is we don't know yet what they're doing, but foreign interference in political parties is a massive problem. It's also nonpartisan. We know that from the inquiry that's been happening. At this point, for the Liberal Party, my understanding, granted I'm not a lawyer, with the Constitution is that to change that, the board of the party would likely have to call an emergency convention for Liberal Party members to vote on the Constitution. I'm sure that they're taking it very seriously, but the MPs are raising very valid concerns that we should be concerned with. The world has changed a lot since 2013, and the way different states try to infiltrate countries has changed. And this is something we have to be very live to.
And we know, watching just south of the border, that when there is a whisper, when there is a whiff of mistrust, that can be used by opposition parties to then plague somebody's leadership, saying, you know, they got in by foreign interference or whatever.
Exactly.
Whether or not that's true, that can be put out there. Listen, speaking of opposition parties, they are tying anybody considering running for leadership to Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's record. This includes, we know, Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre, who says every candidate is, quote, just like Justin. How difficult will it be for anybody to differentiate themselves from Justin Trudeau?
It's going to be very difficult. And I think anyone who thinks otherwise is probably fooling themselves. It's not impossible, but it is very hard. Justin Trudeau and the Liberal brand right now are largely one and the same. And he's been Prime Minister for a long time. We know that Canadians do not like giving their leaders a lot more time than 9 to 10 years. But it is possible to distinguish themselves from Justin Trudeau. I think Canadians are very intelligent people. Canadian voters know that, you know, a minister may have had to do something or participate in something that isn't necessarily their vision for Canada, and it's going to be incumbent on all of the candidates to really highlight what those things might be.
Laura D'Angelo, Vice President of National Strategy and Public Affairs at Enterprise Canada. Great conversation with you today. Thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
If you liked that video, make sure to subscribe to the Your Morning YouTube feed, where you can find all kinds of new content posted every weekday morning.